Managing the Thought, Part 2. In the first part, I suggested that we cannot think a thought that does not affect us. The first part of how we think has to do with how we talk to ourselves. And I recommended in that program that we talk to ourselves in the first person, I, present tense, am, and always to a solution in order to manage that self-talk. The second part of managing our thinking has to do with our daydreams. Let me define a daydream. A daydream is anything that you are thinking about that is not happening at that moment. Daydreams are very powerful, and like our self-talk, have an effect on us. When we daydream, the subconscious part of the mind records the daydream as an actual event and responds as if that event was happening right then. When you daydream about a sad event, the subconscious will respond as if you were experiencing that sad event, and it will produce the feeling of sadness. Daydreaming about this sad event repeatedly, and the subconscious begins to get the idea that being sad is very important to you and will give you the feeling of sadness more often, even when you're not daydreaming. This is called depression. Daydreaming about something repeatedly is like rehearsing something. When you rehearse something, you get better and better at it. Rehearse sadness, and you become an expert at being sad. We can daydream about positive and successful events, and we will have positive and successful feelings. Moreover, we are more apt to take positive, successful action. In the first part of managing the thought, I suggested that the thought produces the feeling, and the feeling motivates the behavior or the action. That is the sequence of events in human behavior. Most people think randomly throughout the day. For the most part, these thoughts are without purpose. You'll find that successful people think purposefully. The technique I'm about to teach you will not only help you manage your thinking, it will help you succeed in whatever you want to succeed at. When someone comes to me for help with depression or anxiety, I give them the task to not daydream for a whole week. I tell them that it is totally impossible for them to do so, but I ask them to do their very best. To help them in this endeavor, I suggest that they keep their conscious mind focused on what is before them at any given moment. In other words, I suggest that they focus only on what they can see, touch, smell, or hear, or even taste. The task is to stay focused only on what the conscious mind can perceive through its senses, the sense of sight, touch, smell, taste, hearing. When they come back the following week, they report that they have never realized how much they daydreamed throughout the day. They actually had a tough time fulfilling the task. They also reported that their depression or their anxiety had gone away or lessened considerably. For that whole week, they had been living in the present and not in the past where depression comes from. Nor Or are they living in the negative future where anxiety comes from? Here's the technique that I promised. It does not involve not daydreaming at all. I suggest that for most of the day, that you pay attention to whatever it is you are doing when you're doing it. But before you start to do anything, define in your mind what you want to get done. Write it down if you want to. Then take a few seconds and imagine, in whatever way you can, a positive conclusion to what you want to get done. In other words, imagine it done the way you want it to be done. This is about you and your behavior and no one else's. Do not imagine the way you want someone else to behave or act or feel, especially towards you. You are programming for your own behavior and your own feelings, and you do not have the power to program for someone else's behavior or feelings. Therefore, when you imagine the way someone else should or ought to behave, you are programming your mind to believe that they should behave this way or that. When they don't behave the way you imagine them to behave, you become disappointed. And what's worse is that your subconscious believes they should behave the way you have programmed for them to behave. Then your subconscious may automatically, without your conscious approval, try to manipulate the person into compliance through judgmental, critical, or sarcastic attitudes. I hate to say this, but parents are guiltier of this than most anyone else. And I must say that these attitudes never motivate anybody to do anything worthwhile. So throughout the day, talk to yourself in the first person present tense. I am. And always to the solution. I am having a good day. I'm having a great day. I am getting this done. I'm getting that done. So on. Before you do anything, take a few seconds, use your imagination, and imagine a positive conclusion to whatever it is you want to do. Do this all day. Do it throughout your life. Make it a habit. What happens with the self-talk and the positive conclusion is that the subconscious part of the mind will take this thinking as a directive and will help you achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. It's basically like a post-hypnotic suggestion. Great athletes, great performers, and successful people in all walks of life practice these kinds of techniques in one way or the other. An example. A young female Olympic gymnast is getting ready to perform for the goal, and she's standing along the sidelines with her eyes closed. And what she's doing is she's imagining the conclusion to her event. She's imagining just having done the best performance she has ever done in her life. Her imagination includes all the feelings of successful achievement and the happiness and joy that comes with it. What she is not doing is imagining that the judges are giving her all tens. She's also not imagining the audience giving her a standing ovation. The reason is she can't do anything about them. She has no power over them, only herself. Remember I said Never imagine the way you think someone else should behave or feel, especially towards you. This program is always about you and your behavior and your actions. You are the only one who can program for that. And don't let anyone else do it for you. Remember this too, that how other people treat you has more to do with how you think and feel about yourself than anything else. This is what this program is about. Managing your thoughts, feelings, and behavior. This is your job, and it is your responsibility. Remember, it is not what happens to you in life that shapes your life. It is how you think and feel about what happens that makes the difference. In conclusion, number one, talk to yourself in the first person present tense. I am, and always to the solution. Number two, pay attention to what you're doing when you're doing it. Number three, before you do anything, take a few minutes and imagine a positive conclusion to whatever it is you want to do. Number four, remember the thought produces the feeling, and the feeling motivates the behavior or action. If you don't like the way you feel, you must change the way you think to produce a different feeling. If you don't like the way you behave or act, you must change the way you think in order to change that behavior. This is the way it is. We grow up in a society blaming everyone else for our behavior. However, we are responsible for how we respond. That's our job, our responsibility, and our only power.